Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to part 2 of our Anfiqoo series. In part 1, we explored the meaning of Anfiqoo, spend. Now we move from the meaning of one Qur'anic command to a much bigger question. How does Anfiqoo help shape an Islamic economic system? Islam does not treat wealth as something inherently wrong. It recognizes lawful ownership, trade, investment, inheritance, and profit. But it also teaches that wealth comes with responsibility, accountability, and obligations toward others. In this video, we will examine how Anfiqoo contributes to an economic framework in which wealth is earned lawfully, used responsibly, circulated beyond the wealthy, and connected with social justice, worship, and Iqamat Deen. Wealth is a trust, not an absolute moral possession. Surah Al-Hadid, Ayah 7. آمنوا بالله ورسوله وأنفقوا مما جعلكم مستخلفين فيه فالذين آمنوا منكم وأنفقوا لهم أجر كبير. तो खुदा पर और उसके रसूल पर ईमान लाओ और जिस माल में उसने तुमको अपना नायब बनाया है उसमें से खर्च करो. जो लोग तुम में से ईमान लाए और माल खर्च करते रहे उनके लिए बड़ा सवाब है. Believe in Allah and in His Messenger and expend of what He has entrusted to you. A great reward awaits those of you who believe and spend their wealth. The believer may legally own wealth, but spiritually understands that Allah is the ultimate owner and human beings are entrusted with what they possess. System effect. Ownership remains, but responsibility is attached to ownership. Lawful earning comes before spending. Anfiqoo does not mean distributing unlawfully earned wealth and considering the obligation fulfilled. Islamic economics begins with halal earning to ethical trade, to lawful profit, to responsible use. This establishes the moral foundation of the system. Private ownership is preserved. Islam does not abolish private ownership. Individuals may own property to conduct business, to invest, to save, to inherit, to make profit. But ownership is balanced by obligations toward Allah, family, and society. Wealth should not remain socially isolated. Surah Al-Hashr, Ayah 7. كَيْ لَا يَكُونَ دُولَةً بَيْنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءِ مِنْكُمْ. ताकि सारा माल सिर्फ तुम्हारे मालदारों के दरमियान ही न गर्दिश करता रहे, बल्कि मुआशरे के तमाम तबक़ात में गर्दिश करे. It may not merely circulate between the rich among you. The verse concerns fay, but it establishes an important Qur'anic concern. Wealth should not merely circulate among the wealthy. This introduces a system-level principle of wider economic participation. Zakat creates an obligatory social mechanism. Zakat transforms giving from personal choice to religious obligation. It gives the Islamic economic system a structured mechanism for transferring part of qualifying wealth to specified recipients. Sadaqah adds voluntary moral responsibility. Zakat defines a minimum obligation. Sadaqah goes beyond the minimum. Thus, the system combines law plus morality, obligation plus voluntary generosity. This prevents Islamic economics from becoming merely a tax structure. Waqf converts private wealth into long-term public benefit. Waqf. Explain that a private asset can be dedicated to continuing charitable benefit. This creates private wealth to institutional benefit to future generations. Waqf therefore links individual ownership with long-term social infrastructure. Family financial responsibility. Include nafaqah here. Islamic economic responsibility begins close to home. Spouse, children, dependents, relatives where applicable. This is important because Anfiqoo does not only concern public charity. The family itself is an economic institution. Inheritance prevents permanent concentration of estates. Islamic inheritance rules distribute wealth among specified heirs rather than automatically allowing an entire estate to remain permanently concentrated in one line. This adds another structural mechanism to the system. Spiritual accountability regulates economic behavior. Economic activity is not morally neutral. The believer is accountable for how wealth was earned, how it was spent, whether obligations were fulfilled, whether others were exploited. Thus, Islamic economics connects the marketplace with the hereafter. How Anfiqoo shapes the system. Halal earning, then private ownership, then trade, plus investment, plus profit, then responsibility before Allah, then family obligations, then Zakat, then voluntary Sadaqah, then Waqf and continuing benefit, then inheritance and distribution, then responsible circulation of wealth, which developed Islamic economic system. Conclusion. Anfiqoo therefore does not stand alone. It operates together with lawful earning, private ownership, family responsibility, Zakat, voluntary charity, Waqf, inheritance, and moral accountability. The result is an economic framework that does not condemn wealth, but disciplines its use. It does not abolish ownership, but attaches responsibility to ownership. It does not prohibit prosperity, but asks how prosperity affects the rest of society. That is how Anfiqoo moves from an individual command to an economic system. But how can these Quranic economic principles be applied in today's modern economy? In Part 3, we will explore Anfiqoo in practice. Please note, all ayats of the Quran are important, but the ayats or its part are excerpts for study and knowledge. If you are memorizing or reciting, it's best to refer to a standard printed or digital Quran to ensure complete and exact wording and verse formatting. बराह करम नोट करें कि कुरान की तमाम आयात अहम हैं, लेकिन आयात या उसका हिस्सा मुताला और इल्म के लिए इक़्तिबासात हैं। अगर आप हिफ्ज़ कर रहे हैं या तिलावत कर रहे हैं, तो बेहतर है कि मेयारी तबात शुदा या डिजिटल कुरान का हवाला दें ताकि मुकम्मल और दुरुस्त अल्फाज और आयत की शक्ल को यकीनी बनाया जा सके। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम।